Welcome to another episode of Do You Really Know God? This episode, we're going to kind of talk a little bit and touch base a little bit on another subject that actually can do multiple episodes about, is proof that being a Christian and believing in the Christian ways scientifically proven, in God and the Bible and stuff in the Bible, how it's scientifically proven.
And we've talked about this on a few different occasions, like who was Jesus was a big one where this kind of came into play.
Yep. So the Bible quote I picked up that I'm starting off is from Genesis, the book of Genesis, chapter 1, called the beginning creations. So in the beginning, God started creating everything. On the first day, He created light in heaven. I'm going to give you a summed up version because, this is...
Almost everyone knows this anyway.
But everybody knows it, but if you read the actual thing, it's like...
Clear, yeah.
It's like 20 pages of creation. So I'm giving you the summed up version.
It's very thorough.
Very thorough. So, on the first day, He created light in heaven. The second day, He created the sky. On the third day, He created the dry land, seas, plants, trees, and a lot of things on earth. Fourth day, He created the sun, moon, and stars. The fifth day, creatures that lived in the sea and on the land and that flew were created. On the 6 days, animals that lived on land, finally humans, made an image of God, was created. On the 7th day, everything was all God's work was finished, so He took a day of relaxation. Now, the reason why I use that to start this off is, if you look at it, a lot of things in the Bible talks about 7 days to create the earth. And if you notice, we got 7 days in a week, and we got each day, and you got work to do on 6 of those 7 days, and most people use the 7th day to pray. It could be Sunday. So that's kind of a connection between the Bible and real times that I wanted to bring up. A lot of things that happen in the Bible and the timelines that happen in the Bible is actually very similar to our calendar timelines. A lot of things come up to the same kind of timelines as our calendars, or yearly calendars and daily calendars and all that. But some of the stuff that I want to touch on is, people say, why do you believe in being a Christian over being Jewish? Because technically Jesus was Jewish and was born Jewish, so why wouldn't you follow Jewish religion? And a lot of stuff in the early Bible is all about God helping the Israelites and the Jewish. Well, here's some of the reasons. Yeah, a lot of the early Bible was, the Jewish was very repressed people. And talk about slavery, Jewish was highly enslaved. So God helped them get freed from their captors. And a lot of the Bible was on the Jewish. In the Old Testament, again, Jesus was born Jewish. There's no argument there. But what Jesus did is He broke the stigmatism of God being all about the Jews. And He opened it up to God being about everybody. Not about the Jewish, about everybody. And that's where Christianity was birthed. And that's why, to this day, Jewish people, or the Jewish religion, does not believe in Jesus Christ as the Messiah, and don't take anything out of the New Testament, because they like it when the Bible and God talked only to them. So, with that being said, Jesus broke that whole thing and said, no, God's for everybody.
Well, there's also a lot of differences in the religions.
Yes.
So, but here's the biggest thing, and like you said, the Jews don't believe in Jesus Christ as the Messiah.
Yeah.
And in the New Testament, when Jesus came, that's pretty much the whole New Testament. Jesus is the Messiah. He's the one who came and saved us.
Yeah.
You look at Christianity, the word Christianity literally means followers of Christ.
Yeah.
The first, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first 6 words, or the first 6 letters, in Christianity, all of it is Christ.
Yep.
Because to be a Christian means to follow Jesus Christ. To believe that He is the Messiah, that He is the Prince of Peace, the King of Kings.
The only living God.
Exactly. And so that's one of the biggest things people don't understand, is because everyone thinks that most of these religions are they're all the same except for, who they think God is, which isn't necessarily. It's true to a degree. They all think about
the same God.
It's true to a degree.
They all believe in the same God. They just have a different Messiah to the God.
But that can be that's a very prominent thing. It's just like, let's say you work at a big company, right? And you all believe in the same CEO, but who you think is the person under him is different.
Yep. And so we're going to touch base on some of the stuff of why to believe the Christian religion. Because the Christians kind of take the old Bible, Old Testament and the New, and believe it in all, because it's all true. Even though, in the beginning, a lot of the Old Testament is mostly about the Jewish version or the views of it. Because God talked to Moses, who is Jewish. He talked to David, who is Jewish. He talked to Abraham, who is Jewish, and Elijah, and all them who are actually all Jewish. But and the reality is there's so much proof that God is real and that to follow Him is true. We start with the Old Testament. Moses made the ark.
Noah made the ark.
Don't mind me. Noah made the ark. And with that being said, there is scientific proof that back around the same time of Noah, there was a 100% a global flood. There's scientific proof on mountaintops of a flood that happened right around the same time that basically was a global flood. So science has proven the fact that a flood happened. And now they're trying to find Noah's Ark. Or trying to find the Ark.
They actually, there's been reports that they think they may have found it.
Yep.
On a mountaintop. I forget where it is. But in a mountaintop. And I believe
in the Middle East somewhere.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's in like Syria or something.
Yeah.
But on a mountaintop, they found what looks like the wreckage of a massive ship.
So here's the thing. So we're going to touch on that. Here's scientists. Here's a little fact about scientists. It's always started off, like for many, many, many years, most scientists were atheists. They did not believe in a supreme being or a God. Because they felt that everything was scientifically proven, and it was just science, and it was just coincidence of atoms coming together and creating everything. But over the years, and now that science is getting like way, way beyond to levels that's never hit before, scientists is actually seeing proof of, holy cow, maybe there is a God or a supreme being, because this stuff cannot happen without this. And that can't happen without that. And they're proving like that there was a great flood. There was definitely a great flood around the time of Noah. And they're all chasing, looking for the ark now. So you got these scientists who were once atheists now looking for this ark that's in the Bible. Get into another another thing that's proven fact is everybody's like, oh, David and Goliath. What do you mean some guy fought a giant? There's proven facts. Now, mind you, we're talking back in the BC time.
Right.
So back then, the average height of a human being was 5'2". That's the average height of most human beings back then. Yes.
I know it was short, but that's short.
It was 5'2" was the average height of a human being back in the times of Moses and Noah and David and all them. So most people were short. So when you think of like David and Goliath, like people think of this 40-foot tall giant that he beat. No, that was not considered. I mean, that's what your mind images.
The Bible says that he was 8 cubits tall.
Yes, which comes out to about roughly 8 to 9 feet.
Right.
So,
I think a cubit is like 1.33 feet or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a number between 8 to 9 feet if you did the figure out. So you think about it, it's like, to this day and age, there's so many different people that are hitting 8 feet tall. And they get that growing issues or whatever. But there's a lot of people hitting 8 foot tall. So 8 foot tall ain't that tall no more. The average height of a human being actually up to about 5'10", I think. 5'10" or 5'11" is the average height of a human this day and age.
But 8 foot is still pretty tall. That's taller than any basketball player in the NBA right now.
It's still very tall, but it's getting a little bit more common. But now, with that being said, 8 foot tall is a obtainable height. It's not like on Jack and the Beanstalk, where you got this 40-foot tall giant that, you could probably see him for 5 miles away. No, when they're talking about the giant, you're talking about an 8 to 9 foot tall person. Now, with that being said, scientific proof that there was scientifically proven people to be 8 to 9 feet tall. It was not common, but there was some back in that era. They found bones and fossils of extra tall male things.
And these were human bones too. These weren't just like random bones they found.
Yeah, they were human. And you gotta think about that. When your average male is 5'2", and like in your tribe, and all of a sudden somebody in your tribe grows up to be 8 foot tall, you're gonna make him the head soldier of your military, because just his height is gonna intimidate most armies just on that one person. So it's a strategic move to make this tall, overgrown person as one of your main military.
Well, Goliath
soldiers.
had brothers and sisters his height as well.
Yes.
He was actually the smallest of them.
Yes. But he was still just a human. So, with that story with David and Goliath, scientifics proved that there's giants that tall, or people that tall. When you call it a giant, you kind of put it into a mythological creature. So it kind of people like
almost like Andre the Giant.
Yeah, it's like how can the Bible be factual if you got David fighting giants? There's no such thing. Well, there is, but there isn't. Our image of a giant is there's no such thing, because we think of Jack and the Beanstalk, where you got a 40-foot tall human race.
Yeah, we're this like 3 of us are the size of their pinky toe now.
Exactly. So that, yes, is not true on Earth. But when you're 3 feet taller than the average person, you're considered a giant.
Yeah.
Even to this day, these 8 foot people that do exist is considered giants in our day. And our average height is a lot taller than it was back then. So there's scientific proof. So there's 2 things. And I mean, like I said, this is such a deep subject to get into.
Once you break away a few things, it turns into a big rabbit hole.
It does. And it's so hard. very big scientist everybody knows, Stephen Hawking. Now, he was a physicist. He was all about the stars. He's about so many different things. And Stephen Hawking was a very big atheist most of his life. We're talking very, very, very big atheist, where he did a lot of stuff to actually try and, back in the 70s, he tried to disprove everything in the Bible. Well, he did many years study, and this is a factual thing, and anybody can look up any of these facts. I mean, this is all facts I'm going to tell you. I ain't going to talk on my bum. I'm going to tell you stuff that I've actually read and researched. Might search around a few words in a little bit because I don't remember word for word because I don't have eidetic memory. But Stephen Hawking spent many years, dedicated a lot of time to disprove the Bible, to prove that there is no God. What he wound up finding out, and before he died, is there has to be a God. He found too many similarities of stuff that happens that there's no way that there can't be a God controlling it.
Well, there's like I always say, there's a difference between a coincidence and fate. I believe fate is the work of God. No matter what you do to try to avoid or try to make something happen, if it is not in God's will, it will not, or it will happen. Now, coincidence is you're driving down the road and you see your buddy heading to the same Walmart. That's a coincidence if you didn't plan it.
Yeah.
But something like...
something repetitive, coincidental, like, for instance, the Earth and all the planets going in the orbit, staying in that same orbit for billions of years and not even moving out of that orbit. That's not a coincidence no more. It's staying steady.
Or the fact that if we were an inch closer or an inch farther away from the sun determines whether the Earth burns up or freezes.
Yep. And the fact that the moon goes around the Earth, which controls the oceans, which keeps the Earth, one, from flooding, because they say if the moon ever disappeared, most of the Earth would flood. Because the oceans would just level out, and when they leveled out, there'd be no high and low spots of the ocean, so it would basically flood a good part of the land. Where the moon keeps it from flooding.
Quick question. Now, I could be totally wrong on this, but in the Bible, didn't it say that God would give Noah a clear sign when the flood was going to be over?
Yeah.
Did it ever say what that sign was?
Sign of land.
Okay.
Because basically, when in the Bible, when it happened and once it started flooding, they saw no land in sight.
So when they saw land,
when they saw land, it was at the end.
Because I was wondering, what if the moon was the sign? What if there's no moon before all them? And then God caused the flood, and then to stop the flood, he put the moon.
There's definitely a moon beforehand. There's actual scientific proof with Egyptian writings and stuff about the moon, long before that.
Don't blame me.
There was definitely a moon before then.
I'm a little tired right now.
But for the way the moon goes around the Earth, it creates the water to pull one way and pull the next way, and it keeps the balance of everything to such a perfect angles and everything. I mean, that's just perfect example. Earth's been in the same orbit around the sun for billions of years, and it pretty much never leaves the orbit. It stays in the same exact orbit. It varies a couple inches here and a couple inches there, depending on every certain amount of cycles or whatever. But it varies into the same orbit. Where actuality, a lot of people don't know this, is the moon's orbit around the sun. The moon is actually losing an inch a year away from the Earth.
Really?
Oh no, it wasn't an inch. It was less than an inch. It's moving so far away from the Earth every year. Where they're saying that eventually it's going to get to the point where the Earth's gravitational pull will not be able to hold the moon anymore, and the moon is going to launch off into outer space. And the scientific has proven that. So with the moon doing that, why is the Earth not losing its orbit to the sun? Because it's all done by the same thing, to be held in places by the gravitational pull of what it's orbiting around. So if the moon's actually slowly moving away, why won't the Earth be moving away from the sun in the same manner? And that's what Stephen Hawking actually proved, is the moon will eventually go away. I mean, obviously, it's still another freaking 100 billion years away before that happens, because it's such a minute move.
Right.
But the Earth is staying exactly the same. And like he said, all things in motion going around, being helped by certain poles, are all going to react in the same manner. So if the moon is going around the sun in an orbit, it should slowly either get closer to the Earth over time or farther away from the Earth in time. And it doesn't. It's the moon actually just gets a little bit farther away each year, where the Earth, the same way, going around the orbit of the sun, should either start getting closer to the sun as it goes around, or moving away. They should not stay in the same orbit.
Well, that's called the pendulum effect. They try to test it, and goes with perpetual motion as well, which is the orbiting. So you have a pendulum and you swing it, it's not gonna hit the same point every time. Like that little circle that it goes in will always change. It will there's very few and far between times where it hits the same exact circle twice.
Yes, but yet the Earth is doing it, and all the planets are doing it.
And have been for thousands of years.
And you gotta look at the next thing. With thousands, you're talking billions now, or millions, something like that. Then the other thing is, every planet in our solar system gets beat down by meteorites and asteroids like a lot. For some reason, Earth hardly ever gets hit. Ever since life was created on Earth. And it's a known fact that before life was created on Earth, the Earth got hit a lot by different meteorites and outer space stuff. Debris and asteroids. Earth got hit a lot. Once life came onto the Earth, we hardly ever get hit by anything.
Nothing of degree, at least.
Yeah, nothing of effects. Where even our moon last year was hit by an asteroid that was pretty decent size. That if it hit the Earth, it would have left a pretty good hole, and there would have been some deaths to it.
Well, they say the one that hit the dinosaurs, that it left a huge
crater in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, and it's like 20 miles long or something like that. And tell me, how can something going that fast and leave a 20-mile crater not affect the movement of the sun?
Yeah, but you gotta look at this too. Is like last year, that meteor that hit the moon. It wasn't that big to where it would not have been an end of life.
Right.
But it would have messed up probably a good 10-mile radius of people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
On Earth, but it didn't. It hit the moon. They had back in the 90s. They had an asteroid that came by that they thought was going to hit the Earth, but missed the Earth, and he's watching it. Actually hit Jupiter, and if that meteor hit Earth, it would have been the end of the Earth. It would have been end of life on Earth, because Jupiter is like, I think, 100 times bigger than the Earth. And if you look at Jupiter now, there's a black eye. They call it a black eye. There's actually a black spot in Jupiter that you can see from telescope from Earth. That's in Jupiter indefinitely from that meteor hitting. That's how big the meteor was. And it missed Earth, where they thought it might hit Earth, missed Earth, and then hit Jupiter on its way back around. There's just too many things, and like Stephen Hawking and actually a lot of other scientists are jumping aboard. There's just too many coincidental things that it's too much to be coincidence because it's too oftenly happening.
Well, and there's also physical writing from multiple philosophers in Greece and other people who in their time were around when Jesus was and actually heard of a Jesus from Nazareth who was supposedly the son of a virgin. And so if you want to discount everything else, Jesus was a real person, and there is documented proof that he did exist and he did do miracles. There is proof from atheists and just written down on tablets and stuff that Jesus was a real person, and there was a blind man after which he talked to and rubbed mud in his eyes, claimed to be able to see.
And if you look at the ancient Roman history and Jewish history, Mary, I'm going to say her name wrong, because I always do, Magdalene.
Mary
Magdalene. She was, it was a known fact that she was a prostitute. It's documented in the Bible. It's documented in Roman history. It's documented in Jewish history. And it was also documented that she was possessed by 6 demons. Now, the reason why that was documented, when you're like, why is a prostitute being full of demons documented? Because Israel, under the orders of Rome, sent their highest priest to rid her of these demons, because the Roman Empire was afraid of what she could become with these demons, and they ordered the Jews to exorcise her and get rid of these demons. And they sent one of their highest, most knowledgeable, most successful demon removal rabbi.
Yeah.
And he spent hours fighting those demons, fighting them, to where he finally lost the battle to the demons and gave up. And he went back and he actually told the Romans, you guys need to just go kill her because we can't win those demons. They're too great. They're too strong. And the Romans actually sent soldiers over to kill her, and when they got there, she was cured. So they didn't kill her, and they went back and they reported, hey, we got there and they're cured. So that rabbi's stuff, whatever, maybe it was a time delay and it took time to heal. And it was to the point where that rabbi actually couldn't believe it, because the Jewish actually gave him this high award for curing her. And he's like, wait, no, when I left she wasn't cured. And like, well, whatever you did must have scared them away and they left. And he's like, no, I didn't do nothing. When I left, they were stronger than ever. And so he actually put out an investigation to see what the heck going on. So he goes and he finds her. And she talks to him and she's fine and she's not possessed. And he goes to her and he goes, Mary, is this something after I left, did that cure? And she goes, no. He goes, well, how did you get cured? And she goes, I don't know. Some man came. And he came and he sat with me. He put his hand on me and he told the demons to leave my body, and they left. And he's like, well, what's the name of this man? Now she knew his name. She knew his name was Jesus of Nazareth. But she told this priest, oh, I don't know. He didn't leave me his name. And went on away. Because at the time, that was before Jesus wanted anybody to know who he was.
He didn't get his coming out tour yet.
Yeah. So, and this is all documented history. I mean, you can actually research this and it's actually truth. Well, that priest actually spent a lot of time following this hooker to see where she went, what she did, and all this. And there wound up being a time first Jesus healed a leper. And there was another person who actually saw him heal the leper. Wasn't part of his little apostle in his clan. And so Jesus was in town. And I think it was, what town was it?
Was it Lebanon?
No, it was a town that Simon lived in. Can't remember the name of the town right now. But, so he's in there, and he was in with Peter's family, and he was telling his parables like he always did. So he's giving his parables about life and about this to Peter and his family. Well, people started gathering around. More and more people are gathering.
In Jaffa.
In Jaffa, that's it. So more and more people are gathering around. More and more and more. And finally, this girl who's seen Jesus heal this leper winds up showing up with this crippled man. She goes, I need to get up to talk to this Jesus guy, see if he can heal my friend who's been crippled. She's trying to get through the town, but you got to think of this massive crowd. It was so big. Nobody could even get close to the house. And he's in a regular house. He's not in no stadium or nothing. So they're blocking the street. So now the Romans are like, oh, what the heck's going on? There's people blocking roads. No traffic can get through. No people can get through. What is going on? So the Romans are now, the Roman soldiers are like, what's going on? So they're reporting back to their general and saying, hey, there's something going on big here. Because there's like Jewish people all around this house in a mad mob. And what do we do? And then the Roman leader turned around and went to the Pharisees, which is the priest of Israel, who are the high priest, who are pretty much in control of a lot of things going on. And they went to him and he goes, I don't know what the heck you guys are doing, but you guys can't have that big of a gathering blocking that much things. You can't get near the house, and there's people on houses across the street standing on the rooftops trying to get a peek at Jesus. Well, to make it quick, this rabbi who tried to cure Mary, he's like, holy cow, I gotta go investigate, see what's going on. So he's going down there. Well, meantime, this other woman who's seen him heal that leper has a friend who's crippled, and she's trying to figure out how to get next to the house. And she runs into Simon first, stops her, and she goes, I need to get him close to Jesus. And Simon's like, yo, yeah, not today, not a good day. Back away. And Simon was kind of like a bodyguard to Jesus. And he kind of protected Jesus and tried to keep stuff away because he knew Jesus didn't want to have this, everybody know that much that he's can heal people yet.
Right.
But she winds up going another way and she runs into Mary. So she gives Mary the sob story about her friend being crippled and never walked a day in his life. He's born crippled and this, that, and the other. And Mary kind of feels bad for her and says, well, let's tell you what. Let's see if we can get you to the rooftops of this house, which is Peter's family's house. Mind you, you're sitting here at home and you got this teacher that you consider a teacher in your house giving teachings about God and the Bible. Next thing you know, you hear something going on your roof, or and you look up and there's an axe coming through your roof. Somebody's cutting a hole in your roof. So I can imagine that if it's nowadays, I'd be pulling out my gun shooting you.
I was going to say, I'd be pretty upset.
So they wind up cutting a hole in the roof, and they got people to do that, and they start yelling through the hole, and the girl gets on her knees and she goes, Jesus, I seen you heal that leper. Can you heal my friend? Please just help. And she's begging him, begging him, begging him. Mind you, all the crowd is outside, has everything blocked, and no way in, no way out, and all this. So there's so many eyewitness testimonies about this incident. And Jesus says, lower him down. So they wind up getting a bunch of socks together and rope or whatever they could find, strapped it to him, and they lowered him down through the roof of this house into the middle to Jesus. And obviously when he gets to the bottom, they help him and they lay him on the floor. Now mind you, that priest, that rabbi who wanted to know who healed Mary, is now outside across watching the whole deal happen. Also who is watching right now was Matthew, who is not an apostle at the time. He was only a tax collector. Now I'll give you a little bit about Matthew. You read writings about Matthew. Matthew was very, very smart. But he was hated by the Jews, he's hated by the Romans, he's hated by everybody because he's a tax collector.
But he was very well known as well.
Very well known. But he was the most hated person in Israel because one of the things, there was nothing lower than the tax collector. The tax collector was the lowest form of life you could be because you're taxing your people. You're Jewish, but you're collecting taxes from your people to give to Rome.
Right.
So you're kind of like a snake in the grass. But Matthew was so smart, he could have done anything he wanted. He could have done anything. He's like one of those very, very smart people to the point where I personally think he had like Asperger's or something like that, because he's like when it came to numbers, he was like, woo, right out there. But he didn't have a lot of common sense of a lot of other stuff, and like his parents disowned him and all that because he was Jewish, but he didn't really follow the Jewish religion a lot because he didn't understand it. Well, with anything with this, he's witnessing this, and he's in awe of watching of what's going on. So, anyways, they lower him down, and Jesus goes over to him, puts his hand on him, and says, all your sins are forgiven. You are healed. Your sins are forgiven. Now get up and walk. Mind you, the guy took a minute, obviously stumbled, like people thinking in their mind that he just jumped up and, hey, yay, and he started running out.
Right, that's not how it works.
He was like a fresh-born deer, you know? Got out, or a fresh newborn horse. They get out, they flopple, and they kind of bounce around and stumble a little bit till they get their bearings straight. So he did that, and then he got up and he started praising Jesus and all this, and he leaves. But at this time, the Roman Empire soldiers are coming in, telling the crowd, break it up, or we're gonna start arresting you. And so he disperses the crowd. They disperse the crowd. So this man goes. Now, right away, that priest, that rabbi, there's two rabbis there. There's him, and then there's another rabbi that's there. The other rabbi's yelling at him, calling him, saying that he's, can't think of the word, because he's saying...
False prophet?
Well, false prophet, but, what's the word saying? Blasphemy?
Yeah, blasphemy.
Blasphemy. Saying that he thinks he's a god, or this, that, and the other. And kind of lecturing on that, and, they rush Jesus out the back door of the house because of the Roman soldiers. So, meanwhile, Mary actually goes out the front door, and that priest who saved her, or that talked to her to try to save her, stops her and says, "This is the man that healed you, isn't it?" And she goes, "Yes, he is." And she ran off. So there, from that point on, he knew it was Jesus of Nazareth. Because he obviously heard that was Jesus of Nazareth teaching at this thing. He got so intrigued. I'm talking so intrigued with Jesus. You're talking about a priest. And it's in his writing, if you find, he actually wrote a book on it. That's legit out there. He was so much into Jesus now of figuring out what this setting up with this dude. He just made a man walk in front of my eyes.
Right.
He took a handicapped man that never walked a day in his life and helped him walk. To where he basically did everything he could to follow what Jesus was doing, and he found out about the miracles about the leper and he found out about the miracles of light, and he's like kind of following. Now, mind you, he was the most highest decorated rabbi in all of Israel. So he was like, I mean, he had more money than what he knew what to do with, because of being a clergyman, but being the highest man of whatever in Israel, and he's the most respected. Well, it got to the point where he was so into it, he was actually putting away, like, not showing up to Jewish meetings or whatever with other rabbis and that, and he's like so fascinated chasing Jesus down. And finally he runs into Mary and he tells her, because I need to talk to this man. Believe it or not, she came back and told Jesus, and she set it up where Jesus actually met with him one-on-one, just the two of them. And Jesus talked to him, and they had a good long talk about a bunch of stuff. And Jesus actually asked him, follow me. Come with me. Now, with that being said, you're taking a guy who is so highly recognized and decorated through the Jewish lands. He actually was to the point of considering giving everything up to follow Jesus. He literally talked to his wife about it, and his wife was actually used to living the high life of all the money. Kind of yelled at him, got mad at him, actually left him for a while. And other priests, rabbis found out that Jesus wanted him to follow. Now, he never actually left to go follow Jesus, but he actually showed up at the meeting place where he's supposed to meet Jesus. And he showed up and he hid around the corner and he watched Jesus waiting for him. And then he broke down crying and he wanted to go, but he just did not take that next step. Needless to say, he lost the boat of being a disciple of Jesus in that form. But Jesus always came back to him and still talked to him and taught him, to the point where he started teaching Jesus' preaching to where he got exiled from the Jewish church. Now, this is all documented stuff to prove. So, if you think about it, Jesus wasn't really the Messiah. Why would a man who is like one of the most highly respected holy man in your land ruin his whole life and give it all up over a man named Jesus of Nazareth, if there wasn't some factual truth about who he really was? So with that being said, right there, I mean, I don't know about you, but if some quack, and that's how they thought of him back at you today, comes up to me and says, follow me, I'm not just gonna drop everything and say, okay. You don't know him, but he had,
where are we going?
You literally had 12 men who gave up every aspect of their life. You got Matthew. He went to Matthew actually a couple days after that and said, follow me. Now Matthew was if you want to think about Matthew into a time of day of today, Matthew was like a Bill Gates. He was a very, very, very wealthy man. There was nothing he could not buy. He owned his own house. The money he just had so much money, but he had no friends or nothing because he's a tax collector. When Jesus went to him, and he's at work at his tax collecting booth, Jesus walked up and said, follow me. Matthew actually like, this is funny. Now, he's the only one in this booth, how they set it up back in the day.
Right.
And there's guards outside. And he had his guard that actually, which was a Roman soldier that protected him. Because obviously, I'm sure a lot of people wanted to beat the crap out of him and kill him.
Oh, yeah.
So,
someone like that, definitely.
So, when Jesus went to him and he says, Matthew of, I forgot what his father's name was. And Matthew's like, kind of did like, look over his shoulder one way, look over his shoulder the other way, and says, who, me? Jesus is like, yeah, you. Wait, any other Matthew of so-and-so in this booth by himself?
Right.
He said, yeah, you. And he said, what? And Jesus said, follow me. He goes, what do you mean? Jesus says, follow me. And he goes, well, what does that mean? Jesus says, give up all your earthly possessions and follow me.
Yeah.
He walked out of the booth and he went to the Roman soldier who actually protected him for the longest, handed the guy the keys to his house, and said, I would like you to try and give all my wealth and money to my parents. Don't know if they're going to take it because they disowned me, but give them everything. Whatever they don't want, if they don't want, you keep for yourself. It's all yours. And the God was actually looking at him and he's like, are you crazy? What are you doing? And he goes, I'm following him. He goes, you're going to give up everything you got. Yeah, you're hated, but you got every man's dream of all the money you could possibly want, the house you could possibly, anything you want. He goes, you could retire and do nothing right now for the rest of your life. Get friends because you don't have to be a tax collector because you got enough money to live for the rest of your life. Instead, you're going to give it all away so you can follow this bum that's walking down the street? And Matthew said, yeah, pretty much. Hand him the keys and off he went, following Jesus. Now, that's written. Now, Matthew, yes, he wrote in the Bible. He had this story in the Bible.
Right, he wrote his stuff down.
But there is a book, which is Matthew's diary. Which Matthew's diary is out there. There's writings you can find. And I've actually read some of it before. I found it somewhere. I can't remember where. Somewhere online. And I read some of it. Now, his diary was not released by him. Was not published by him.
Right.
It was somebody else got a hold of him after he died. And basically it was like, back then everybody wrote a diary. Everybody had their little memos, their daily memos of their diaries of their lives.
Right.
A common thing back then. Well, they published Matthew's diaries because his life was so fascinating. And there's all the stuff like when he's a childhood and all this, and as he grew up and how he kind of fell away from the Jewish religion and how he became a tax collector. That was quite fascinating, what got him into being a tax collector.
Right.
Because, believe it or not, he got offered a job as like a personal accountant to the king of Israel, where he would have had just as much almost as much riches. But for some reason, he declined that job to become the tax collector, which makes no sense.
No, at all.
But he did it. He did it. He's a special kind of guy as far as that. So he did it, and the tax collecting was his passion to the point where his parents disowned him, and he was fine with that. He was doing his tax collecting, and for him just to give it all up, and if you read his personal diaries, it led up to the day that he finally. It's right up to the day when he finally
decided to
follow him, and then there's his personal diaries for after that too, and talks all about his accounts with Jesus, but also about his experience about giving everything up and everything. And just reading that, the little parts that I got to read, it's like, it just fascinates me of how a guy can go from not really religious but very wealthy, making a lot of money, to losing everything to follow this man who says he's the Messiah.
Right.
And actually, he did not even say he's the Messiah at the time. He just said he's a teacher. So
that's gotta be crazy.
Just to follow this bum that's traveling town to town that don't even have a house.
Like, think about it. You're sitting there, you're Bill Gates, you got a ton of money, you're all set, right? You're doing good in life. And all of a sudden, some guy looking homeless comes up to him, like, hey, you get rid of all your money, get rid of your house, your cars, all that. Come follow me. What do you think he's gonna do?
Yeah. So, not to get too long on this, there's scientific facts there. There's his personal diary facts. There's that high priest, I'll try and think of his name, I can't remember. It starts with a P, I know that.
Prometheus?
Something like that. They all had kind of crazy names back then.
I think Prometheus. is a god. Is a Greek god.
Yeah, I don't remember right. I just remember it starts with
Plato?
P. No, it wasn't Plato. But you're in Greek. Get out of Greek. Get into
Roman.
Jewish.
Oh, Jewish.
So here's a guy who gave up a lot and lost a lot and risked a lot to
More
believe
than a
in
lot.
Jesus.
Literally everything.
So you just look at that. So that's right there. That tells me something that I'm on the right path of following this guy Jesus, because if a guy of the times can give up his all righteous holiness, where he basically called himself a liar in doing this, because he preached certain preachers, and some of the stuff that they were preaching back then were not fully 100% accurate, because they kind of changed the Bible a little bit, the Old Testament, into ways that they wanted to believe.
Right, to fit how it made them.
Yeah, to kind of fit their agenda, where he actually got a law put into place. A certain law that really wasn't in the Bible, but he kind of made it up because it made him a lot of money by doing that.
Right.
So basically, he actually renounced all that, and he gave that up. And when he started preaching some of Jesus' stuff, he actually went into the Jewish synagogue and did a sermon. And he did a Jesus sermon. Where another priest actually walked on stage and kicked him out of the synagogue halfway through his message. But he basically took stuff that he's created and he preached. Now he knows he's wrong about it, and Jesus showed him the light. He actually basically said, I was wrong all those years. And they're talking about a guy that's not... I'm not talking about a guy who's 20, 30 years old. We're talking about a guy who's in his high 60s at the time, where he's at retirement age. He would have been retired, lived a happy retirement, and he could have... It doesn't matter if his teachings were wrong. It didn't matter. He could have went on in life and people would have believed his teaching. He basically admitted that, I taught you all these years, these 50 years I've been teaching you, I taught you all wrong. Sorry.
My bad. Let's just erase the past 60 years.
So he discredited himself a lot. So think of that. If that don't make this guy Jesus believable,
I don't know what does.
I don't know what does. Exactly. Then you got to look at other scientific facts that we can put in here. Did you factor the tomb that Jesus was raised in?
There's actually, there's a good, if any of you who listen have Disney Plus, there's a good documentary about it on Disney Plus.
Yep.
I think it's called Saving Jesus' Tomb or something like that.
Yep. There's also proof that Jesus died on a cross, crucifixion.
Yeah, on what they call Skull Hill or something like that.
Skull Hill.
Mountain.
There's also proof, there's 100% proof, and eyewitnesses, and many different factual evidence saying that they buried him in the tomb, and somehow 3 days later that rock that closes the tomb was removed. And to tell you a little something about the rock that they enclosed the tomb with, it takes like 20 guys to move that rock. 20 soldiers to roll that rock into place. That tomb was protected by 2 Roman guards that watched to make sure nobody was going to come tamper with their grave.
Right.
Because they knew the history, and actually for Pharisees that didn't believe in Jesus Christ, who thought he's a hoax, were very paranoid that he is going to rise in 3 days, because they actually had the Romans put guards out there, because they told the Roman emperor saying, hey, he claims he's going to come back to life in 3 days.
Right.
So they're like, we're going to make sure that ain't happening, because here's the thing they did know. They felt that the apostles were going to get a crew together, move the rock, and take the body. Right. Because here's the thing. They knew that if Jesus' body was removed from that tomb, it was making a martyr out of him, to where it was going to put everything that he says, hey, I'm going to rise in 3 days, into real reality, which is going to prove that he wasn't shouldn't have been tried for blasphemy because he was a god.
Right.
So they actually put gods out there to watch the tomb, make sure nobody tampered with it.
But the thing with all of this historical and scientific evidence is, like we said at the beginning, we could make multiple episodes about this.
Oh, there is just so much into it. Because...
And I really encourage all of you, if you want to fact check us, or if you want to do your own research, whatever the case may be, please do your research.
Yeah. And I mean, these facts, I'm touching not even the tip of the iceberg. I'm just giving you a couple of the biblical facts with scientific facts. These facts, and maybe I'll do another episode on this if you guys want. I just don't have all the information tonight on it. Of certain scientists, like well-known scientists that was fully atheist and actually proved themselves into being Christians. They're now Christians.
I know Apollo's one of them.
Yes. Apollo, but there's some new ones too that are out right now. Actual scientists that are alive right now that actually spent their life to prove that God was not real. That was their livelihoods, to prove that there is no heaven or hell.
Yeah.
And rather than proving that there is no heaven and hell, they proved to themselves there is. So they turned into Christians. Now, I don't know how about you, but if I'm dedicate my life where I'm going to prove something wrong, I'm going to prove that the world is flat, okay? And I'm going to spend every dime I have, I'm going to spend every waking energy moment to prove that this earth is flat. And then I come back 10 years later and say, yo, I'm wrong, this earth is round, 100%. I don't know about you, but nobody wants to admit they're wrong first. But nobody wants to discredit their work that they have. And that's what you're doing. You're taking everything you've done and you're saying, hey, you know what? I was wrong. Sorry. I'm a moron. But you know what? This is the facts.
Not only that, but think about it this way. You go on an expedition to prove the earth is flat, right? You come back empty-handed and saying you're wrong. How is that going to look on you? Not only is that going to hurt your pride,
but it's going to hurt people's image of you. Very going to kill your image.
Right.
And then you got to think about the years wasted on the wrong mission.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it would definitely hurt your pride, because you go, let's say, like there's scientists who go take like 3 months, 6 month trips to Antarctica to, prove different things and whatever they do down there. So imagine, let's say you're trying to find a new species on Antarctica, right? So you go to Antarctica and you're looking around, and then you find out that that species doesn't exist. It never has. When you come back, you can't just be like, oh, my bad, guys. I didn't know it wasn't real.
Exactly. And just like the Big Bang Theory.
So what, the TV show?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
No, not the TV show. The actual Big Bang.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The actual Big Bang. What scientist was it? It was, oh, God. Einstein talked about the Big Bang. I think he wasn't the first, but he's one of the well known who proved that, tried to prove it, and for many years thought how the universe was created was 2 asteroids banged together and created this big explosion, and that's what created Earth and the solar system and most of the universe. And they had this whole theory worked out. And you're talking back in the 20s and 30s or whatever, right? science wasn't such a big fact. Well, nowadays scientists...
It was like in the 40s, 50s.
A lot of scientists now are looking back at it and saying, well, the Big Bang Theory actually did happen. Those scientists are 100% correct on that. But where are the two asteroids? Where did they come from that actually collided together? What created them? So these scientists actually proved, okay, this big clash together is what created the orbits and all that and created the planets. But they did not think of the fact of where did these two big asteroids come from? What created them?
Right.
To hit each other. So now the scientists are saying, okay, it's got to be a God that created these two big rocks and got them to collide together to create this massive
formation,
explosion that created the formations of the universe. And he was obviously in control, and then he got all these other rocks that constantly hit, which created parent planets, and then the sun. A couple of them had to hit just right that created the sun. So they're proving that, yeah, those scientists were right. The Big Bang Theory that happened actually did create the universe.
Right.
But what created the Big Bang? That's what they didn't look at. And that's what these new scientists are saying. There has to be a supreme being that's controlling all this.
Right.
So, they're not saying those older scientists are wrong, because they're saying they're partially right. They just don't have all the information and facts. So now they've proven more that there is a God controlling everything. And maybe we'll do another episode and I'll get more into the science part of it. As far as right now, I'm going with more of the history part of it. The history proof that, you know what, there is so much stuff that you can read that, not biblical books, not Bibles, that's actually books like the Diary of Matthew. His personal diary, not his Bible that he wrote, his personal Bible diary about his life and what he gave up. That priest, I'll give you the name of the priest who actually gave up everything to kind of follow Jesus, but not follow Jesus.
The name of that priest will be in the description.
Yeah. And there is, like we just touched on, more of the history part, not the science part of this one. There's historical proofs. There's writings in the Roman Empire about Jesus.
Well, we did. Let me fact check myself really quick, but I believe it was episode 14, or not 14. I'm sorry, episode 8. I don't know why I said 14. That we did why believe in God.
Yeah.
Let me triple check that though. Okay, it was 13. Episode 13, we did why believe in God. This is kind of like a part 2 to that.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. But we're talking a little bit more about factual stuff. Well, we did then too.
But this is that episode was more of a just why you should.
Yeah.
This is more of, hey, proof.
Here's some proof. Literally, you can look up ancient Israel records, and then put in what you're looking for, like about Jesus of Nazareth. And even though the Jewish do not believe he's the Messiah, because they believe in Old Testament with David and Moses and Abraham and them, that's what they base their religion on. They don't want to believe that Jesus was the actual Messiah, even though they witnessed it, and the proof is like right in front of their face. In their history, they got, and then they're writing, there's proof that they arrested Jesus for blasphemy, that they executed Jesus on a cross, and there's actually proof that they have in a thing that his body went missing, and that's proof in that. And the Romans history too. And there's proof that they had two gods on duty watching the tombstone, and both gods swear to God that the rock moved itself and nobody showed up to move it. I don't know about you, but if I'm a Roman soldier back then and I just said, yeah, the rock just rolled away,
I wouldn't feel too confident in my position.
That, and I'd be too afraid of being hung.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your job security after that would not be
your
too
life
high.
Security. Because back then they didn't prove, oh, you're fired, you failed. They said, dude, you just failed. We're hanging you. We're taking you to the street, public street, and we're hanging you by your throat.
Right.
Till you're dead. And that's if you're lucky. We might torture you first.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this rock moved and they sat there and witnessed, said there was nobody here when the rock moved on its own. And then they never seen the body leave. But the body was gone when everybody went in the tomb. So where did the body go? So, and this is all written history. So with the history and then like all these scientists are proving so many little things that this couldn't have happened without somebody controlling it. There's got to be a supreme being controlling all the actions.
Not only that, but these well-known scientists are turning back on themselves.
Yes. And they're going from being atheist to Christian. They're all becoming Christians, saying, whoa, there's something here. We want to go to heaven. So, yeah. I think we're on the wrong path here, so let's go back onto the right path.
So what's, for this week, what's your comment? Comment section. I feel like mine would be, do you want more episodes like this?
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one. And I think mine is, is there any particular person that you read in the Bible that you really don't understand the role or the existence or what the meaning of them are, but you want to know? I want you to comment their name and what you want to know about them, because I even find myself sometimes with some of these people in the Bible that they talk about, okay, what was the actual purpose in the Bible? Or, yeah, they did this, but they also had other things to go around. Like, I question myself a lot about David. King David, yeah, he defeated Goliath, and I get all that. But King David, he had multiple wives. He had four wives, to be exact. Where having more than one wife is a sin in the Bible. So that's kind of thing. Some things that I learned in my mind of. It's very strict in the Bible about being married.
Yeah.
And being faithful in your marriage. And yet you got some of these holy people had multiple wives who they were holy and God talked to them. And now I know, I get it. God is very forgiving. Jesus walked with a adulterer, a murderer, a hooker, and all these sinners. And yeah, God talks to sinners too, because we're all sinners. Everybody's a sinner. But if you have any in particular things that you want to know about certain ones, because I know like I've been studying a lot on David, because he's in my mind intriguing about the four wives of. Okay, David was a chosen one, to where he was chosen as a kid to defeat this giant.
Yeah, and become a king.
To become a king, and he became a king, and now he was a little sheep boy. He wasn't nobody special. He's a little sheep boy.
A shepherd, yeah.
And he became a king, but there's so much in the things where he was proven. God was talking to him since he was a young age, and he was a proven, heavy, dedicated God. But he's also done some stupid stuff that it's like, obviously, were you really a full believer if you did this? Like they had before David. They made a box for God, special box made of gold, and wherever that box was, everything around it was considered holy, and God blessed. And somehow over the years, it got put into the Palestinians' hands, which was in a personal home of Palestine. Yeah. And when David became king, he's like, that box belongs in Jerusalem in our synagogue. Well, there's a thing about the box after it was made. There's a special way to carry it. First off, it's made for 4 people to carry it. You have to hand carry it with this special pole that goes through loops, and 2 guys in the front, 2 guys in the back, and you're supposed to hand carry it. And it was a known fact. It's written down that this is how you handle it. And David took his, and it was only supposed to be certain type of people that can carry it. David took this crew of soldiers down to the guy's house and said, we want this holy box back, da-da-da. They got it, they hand carried it properly over to a trailer that they were pulling by horses and put the box on the trailer, which is a big no-no on that box. You don't put it on a trailer to tow it.
Right.
And David had that done. And then when they were trying to bring it back to Jerusalem, it almost fell off the trailer because the trailer was rocking too much. Where there was a guy there seeing it getting tipsy, and he's like, whoa, and grabbed the box to try and stabilize it. And when he does, it kills him. He dies instantly right there, dead. And David was like, holy cow, that box is evil, that ain't God.
Right.
So he got scared of it, so he's like, get rid of the box, just get rid of it. Scrap it. And somebody else, I can't remember who it was. Can't remember the name right now. Sorry, it's getting late, so I'm tired, so I'm not remembering names too good right now. But said, no, I'll take the box. So David said, it's all yours, man. Get it out of my sight. I don't want to die. And so they went and he knew how to treat it. He got a couple guys and they carried it to his house and they put it on in a place, because it's supposed to be set up a certain way in a certain room, all by itself and this, that, and the other. So he set up in his house, and that guy went from, he was actually a slave for a while there, and he never had good luck. He's always low income and barely making it by. Once that box came in his house, he became wealthy. He got a good job. Everything was going good. He had a bunch of healthy kids, and his life went 100% great, and he got blessed because he knew how to handle the box. Where David was more like, whoa, get that out. For somebody who should be that much, who's talked to God that much, and who's a prophet of God's. Do you understand? To be a prophet, you got to be really, really declared by God and very
right.
So he is actually a prophet that talked to God, and he actually ran from God because of this, rather than saying, "Yo, forgive me, God, let me figure out. Oh, here's the right, and this is how I'm supposed to transport you."
Right.
So like I said, I've been doing a lot of research on David because I want to get inside the head of the David. So if you have somebody like that you that's out like Job or Isaiah or Abraham or
anybody in the Bible, really.
Anybody in that, even if it's not even per se on the God side of the Bible, well, out of the Bible like that side. If you want to know about the Pharisees of Jerusalem, like times of Jesus, there was 4 main Pharisees that actually had him crucified. They the head 4 in Jerusalem. If you want to know about them, or you want to know about I can't even think of his name. What is it? Pyramid, the kind of king over Israel, but for the Romans. Anyways, the guy who was in charge of the Jews, the Romans, sub-king, I guess you'd call him.
You're not talking about Caesar, are you?
No, Caesar was the king of Rome. But what he did is he had province kings.
Oh, okay.
And this was the king who actually was over Israel. He had the province of Israel. He wasn't a king, but he's like a duke.
Yeah.
Over Israel. I can't remember his name, but he's the one who actually had Jesus crucified but didn't want to. He's against it. His wife told him, no, this is a holy man. You don't want to kill this man. And he actually tried everything to not execute him, but keep faith with the Jews that he's in control. And it didn't work out. He wound up in order to save his face, he had to follow through and crucify him. Can't remember his name right now. And it's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, anybody in the Bible, you want to know, please comment it, and I'll do a whole episode on that person for you. I'm good with that. I don't mind picking out people and doing episodes.
Yeah.
But with that, peace out. God bless, and I hope you guys all have a great 4th of July weekend.